Hey, it's the Chief Binding with board games and RPGs. I've added that in there because I'm loving RPGs. So this is episode 10. Just to catch you up where we left off, 9 was Bartek, yeah, similar to my first name, is a nationalist, Polish nationalist, can't stand Krieg's group in there, can't stand Russians, can't stand anybody that's not Polish being in there. And he's a zealot. And he wants them out, wants them dead, wants them gone. But Krieg was ticked off, put out a reward. Fella came in, is going to lead a small ambush force. So we'll be covering that, both the setup, and then we'll see if this first episode 10 gets to the actual takedown of the ambush as well. But before we dive into that, I've got some extra paperwork to help me solve that. I'll talk about that in a second. The first thing we have to do for these next 3 episodes, I will set up a overarching goal for Kaynen Krieg, who is evil. He's a narcissist. He's a sadist. We haven't seen quite as much of that. There's some crazy hints in there, here and there, but he's starting. He has proclaimed himself the king of Nizhno. Part of his overarching goal is to be, I think it was King Me. I don't think it is. It's King Me. But one thing we're doing is using 48 Laws of Power to kind of set up also whatever's going to drive him predominantly through these next 3 episodes. This is a real Machiavellian type book. So, hey Siri, select a number from 1 to 48.
A random number between 1 and 48 is 12.
Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Okay. So Law 12, let me get this in. And then there's a little appendix here. I'm not going to go in and read the whole chapter. It says, one sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Yeah, sounds like Krieg. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious person. Once your selective honesty opens a hole in their armor, I can imagine what we do after there's a hole in the armor, you can deceive and manipulate them at will. A timely gift, a Trojan horse, will serve the same purpose. Okay? It's kind of similar to what? Was it Law 39 or 40 where it was be generous? So this is use selective honesty and generosity. All right, we'll set that aside. I don't know what that would be. We'll come back to it, but okay. We'll try to work that in. Selective honesty, generosity, disarm your victim. I'm trying to figure out who that victim would be. Maybe it's the person that's leading us to this ambush site because we've brought his family in. And that was done as both an offer of goodwill, but also as a trump card, a bargaining chip. We're taking him. So here's what we're doing on this ambush real quick. We'll talk about it. We're going to go out at night, a shift ahead of when this ambush is going to take place. First of all, game rules. When you set up an ambush, depends on how far away it is. You use a recon roll. There is a subtext of a waylaying, and you get a +2 basically if you set up further in advance of when this is going to happen. +2 is like a shift ahead. That's what we're doing. I was in a light infantry unit. We practiced ambushes and stuff. No combat or anything for me. But what we're going to do on this is move out with one of the Army, same deal like when we were putting up the signs, 6 Humvees. We're going out at night. I'm giving, we call them nods when I was in. Night observation device. Now they're NVGs, night vision goggles. I believe. We called them nods. That's kind of what they had back then. I double checked that because I was like, weren't they called nods? Kind of a monocular. They weren't great. Everything was green, kind of grainy, but you could definitely operate at night. Drivers could drive at night. We has access to these. Now, they take batteries. We don't have an endless supply, but we've got them for this mission. Also, if you run into somebody and you've got the night vision goggles or nods on, you don't take the penalty for trying to get into a gunfight at night. So you basically don't have that penalty. Anybody shooting at you does, unless they've got night vision. So the way this is going to go down, I've set it up here. So there's 6 Humvees that are going out. Each Humvee is going to have a driver and a gunner. A Humvee can hold 5 folks. I've sat in them. 6'6", not very comfortable, but you'd be surprised how much room. These are the up armored Humvees, so you can have 5. One person is actually in like a turret, and mix of 50s and 240s in there. So though the driver and the gunner won't be leaving any of the vehicles. But in vehicle 1, just in case these get hit, we're going to have a random event. There could be anything could happen. I don't know. I don't know what will happen. In the very first Humvee is Krieg, is Jan, or Jan, or Jan. It's Jan, but I believe it's Jan, and the informant. So they're bringing the informant with them. He's told them that there is a crossroads that the Bartek is going to be moving along the next morning. And this is a route. He's aware of the route, and they're taking him with him both to get the location correct. So they've eyeballed it on a map, but they're going to take him with them to get it right. It can be very difficult at night. So, but Jan actually knows the area as well. In vehicle, and then, so again, it'll be those 3, and then their driver and their gunner. Vehicle 2, Humvee 2, Sanchez, Pacheco, just another Marauder. This is going to be a rather complicated fight, maybe, or at least a movement. So, vehicle 3 has a 11 Bravos, infantry guys in it. So one guy's manning a 240. I've got names for these guys. We'll go into them in here. Now, I think a guy named Arthur is on the 240, and a guy Clifton is on the 249. Vehicle 4 has 311 Bravos that are just staying in the vehicle. They can pull security for it. They can do whatever. Vehicle 5 has another 240, 249 team. They're actually going to set up across the street as part of like step 2 of the ambush, which I'll show you in a second, at least what the plan is. And then vehicle 6 also has 311 Bravos in it that'll stay in the vehicle, kind of come up and pull rear. So the idea is Jan and the informant with Krieg in vehicle 1 will be working their way through at night with this run of 6 Humvees. So it's a night movement with Humvees. That could have problems, and we'll address that. The map I'm showing you now is where they'll be setting up the ambush, and I'll put in, I'm going to throw in the planned placement of troops. You're seeing that now. That's the plan. Not sure it's going to work out that way. And let me throw up a photo that shows you at least the building where Krieg, Sanchez, and Pacheco are going to be set up. So you're seeing that now. They're in that raised center portion with the little glass windows, and they each have a law rocket. So on top of their normal weapons, which I'm going to go over in a second, wow, this is a lot more detailed than I even thought. They each have a law rocket. A law rocket's a one-shot, I think it's like 66 millimeter rocket. I actually looked up to see, I knew you could fire it in a building, but it has to be big enough because there's a backblast. It's got to be at least a 12 by 15 foot room. The area they're in is bigger than that. It's kind of an overspace in there, but it's still loud, disruptive, and dusty. So there'll be some well, it'll be quite disruptive in those rooms. But they've got 3 laws, and the plan that we're telling you now is the laws will trigger the ambush. And then on top of that is they're at an elevated position. There's a bonus for that we'll be covering combat-wise. There should be a lot of dice rolling on this. And the 240s and the 249s will open up. And you've already seen how they're kind of in a crossing position. And then Yan and the Marauder can kind of pull security for these guys as well. You're going to have an entry guy that's going to have basically a simple crowbar in case they got to get through a boarded up window or a boarded up door. Because the idea is this: the Humvees are going to move through the streets. There'll be a random event. The plan, we'll see how well the plan goes. They will arrive, again, the photo's up in the street. The vehicles, the Humvees will slow. Everything's pitch black. And the 10 folks will exit from the vehicles where they're at. The idea is not to be here long. They've got to quietly offload these folks and then clear out of the area. Because of that, Krieg is armed with an M3 A1 grease gun. It's got the silencer kit on it, and he's carrying a law and his Glock 45. So he's silenced. We've got Pacheco with M16A2, a law, and a silenced HK. So he'll be using that. They're hoping to move in. Hopefully nobody's even in the building, but we don't know this. They're going to have to be cleared. The word is that these are abandoned buildings, but no one's been on site. Sanchez is armed the exact same way, M16A2, silenced HK-23, it's a 45, and he also has a law. They will have Yan, the Marauder with them, and the Marauder with them, and the informant. They're all moving in together along with 1 240 and 249. The other 240 and 249 with a crowbar are going to work their way across the street per the map that you are probably seeing up at a corner now. And that's what we're going to set up on this first ambush, or on the setup for the ambush. So we're covering that. Also, you're seeing this now. This is how I will track each of their ammos. The ammo they're carrying, the 240s are going to have 400 rounds of ammo each. If they go through that, so they're going out heavy, but if they get into a firefight, so are the 249s. And the 249 is not using the box. The box is 200, but that box is loud as hell. I've done maneuvers with that where I wasn't carrying it, but our 249 guy was. The thing makes a racket. And the guys that had been, well, a couple guys we had that were in Ranger units actually used like a, I don't know, it was like a dump bag, just an OD green nylon bag, pretty heavy ripstop, and they would hook that in on their like gear or LBE or whatever, and they would literally just use 100 rounds. Some of them even just had a 50, but usually it was 100, nicely folded into the bag, and then they had it up and ready, but they would only work with 100, but it was really quiet. The only thing that you heard every once in a while was a little bit of the belt moving around or clicking down on the feed tray. So that's how they're set up. They'll each have 100-round belts ready to go. Now the idea is to get in place without making any noise, and again, hopefully nobody's in there. But that's how I'll be tracking all this. So the very first thing is we move out. Now again, everybody's got on nods or MVGs. I don't know what I'm going to call them. I'll probably say both, so I'll try to reference both. All right, still a little bit hard to drive with nods. It's not bad, though. You'd be surprised. It's not bad at all. Sorry, the new mustache is getting in my mouth. So what we're going to see is just a random event. Now, it is night. They are on a road. So we'll just see if anything happens here at all. And, ooh, I've got road, but only daylight. So there is no random event as we move out and get to the location. Because it's night, though, I want to use, and I'm going to use the mythic yes or no chart here, the fate chart, because I'm telling you, I've been on maneuvers at night. It is unbelievably easy to get lost, to get turned around. Now, we do have Yan with us. They're up front. We have the informant with us. We should be good to go. If they weren't there, I think it would be somewhat, probably very likely that we would at least get turned around a little bit. I'm going to go with that we're going to use chaos factor 6 because all the stuff that's going on in the city, and we are in 6 Humvees making some noise. But I'm going to go with that it's very unlikely that we're going to get turned around or make a few wrong turns. So again, chaos factor of 6, so very unlikely. So the question is, did we get turned around or make a few wrong turns? 56? No. So no, we did not. We're able to get to the location. Again, on the map where you see the vehicles are actually coming in from the left-hand portion of the map. And I'll actually put up a photo showing those representative counters of the Humvees coming in. As they roll in, they're rolling very slow. The nods are on, and the guys in the cupolas are holding their individual spots. And the question is, I think as they approach and come to a stop, the idea is these guys are going to get out quick. But I want to know, is there anyone that is seen? And we're going out at about, I want to say it's like 1 in the morning. I think it's going to be unlikely in the area that we're at. Chaos factor is 6, so is anyone seen? 38. Yes. All right, so it's not an exact yes, but yes, someone is seen. And I'm curious, so we're going to go to Une. All right, we'll go to the Une chart here. We're going to get 35. What do we have? Oh, docile. Okay. So we have somebody who's docile that is in the area. That's good. And 19, an artisan. A docile artisan. I have no idea what that would be. Let's get a verb. I don't think we're going to have to go too far down the line. 27 is review. So again, we're literally rolling up, getting ready to get out of the Humvees. The squad is, we got a even 40. So let's see, what do we got? The church. What is review the church? I'm going to roll one more time because I don't know what that would be, and then we'll puzzle it out. So 35 is construct. Okay. And we're going to get one more here. 57 is happiness. Huh. So what would this be? Well, a docile artisan. I'm picturing, well, docile, an artisan. Okay, I got it. I believe, yes, construct happiness. I don't know what review church is, but this is a kid who's out spray painting. He's out graffitiing at night. If I were to go by this, I would say that it's like, I don't know if the area we're in is kind of a, not kind of, it's a little industrial. So maybe it's like his church. That's where he does his art, his artisan. But construct happiness. This is when he's happiest. So we've got a young, docile artisan, graffitiist, who, unfortunately for him, right as these Humvees are rolling up, he's working through his street art masterpiece with his paints. You wouldn't think there's still a lot of canned paint out there in the apocalypse, but he must have had some. Okay, he had some. He is an artist. Who knows what he's working in? So the guys are getting out. Well, which side is he on? Let's just go with even or odd. If you see the photo with the overhangs, that'll be even, and it is even, or no, it's odd. We got a 9. So he's on the other side, working on that side, which is, I don't know where it would matter. That was where the 249 and the 40 guys are going to go. But that's all right. As they're rolling up, Krieg is in the front vehicle, and he's got his suppressed M3 grease gun. He sees this guy, and as the vehicles roll to a stop, he pops out, and he's a terrible shot. Terrible shot. So hopefully Sanchez and Pacheco, who are much better and have silenced HK pistols, can pick up the slack if he misses. But I'm telling you, I know exactly what Krieg's going to do. He's going to hold the trigger down on his grease gun and light into this guy with his 30-round mag, or this artist. So Krieg is simply a D8. He has no ranged combat at all because he's a commander. He likes to bark orders and get things done, but he loves his grease gun. It's super quiet. There's even a video you can go look to see how they work. And he's going to roll, let's see, he does have his nods on, so he doesn't get the -1 for that. Let me clear some stuff out and let me check stats. All right, he's only 1 hex away. The kid's kind of turning around. He's not even fully comprehending it's a threat. So we're going to go with the D8. There is no modifier because of the nods. And so he can't, I mean, he can hear the vehicles. He knows they've rolled up. He can hear the crunching of the tires. He's peaceful. He's docile. He turns around, and in the shadows, he can kind of see there's vehicles there. But the very next thing is just a light burping noise. So the M3 A1 grease gun, that's the newer Korean version, doesn't have the charging handle on it, has a 30-round mag. I've got an ammo sheet here. It's got a slower rate of fire, full auto, but it's so slow you could do 1 at a time. So I've got it set as a rate of fire of 3. So I'll be rolling 3 ammo dice, and Krieg's just got the 1-8 here. What I have been thinking, though, is Krieg's heavy on the trigger. And what I believe I'm going to do, rather than add, I thought about adding another die, but the rate of fire is very controllable. But he lingers on that trigger. He will linger. So I'm going to give him a +1 on one of the die. So I'm going to roll it separately so we know there's a +1 there. I think I've got this down. So let's roll and see how this goes. And I'll roll this and give it a +1. So far that's a hit. And a possible miss. He could still suppress this kid. Ooh. Okay, so what's interesting is he's got 2 1s and a miss. So if I push this, I can't re-roll the 1s, and the gun's going to jam. It's a mishap. Well, sorry, I forget I get a +2 or a +1 on this, so it's actually a 2. So that's interesting. That should help. The grease gun was a real solid gun, and although they had some problems with the magazines, he's got a kind of tricked out, cleaned up version. So that's why this works as well. I am going to push this. I cannot re-roll the 1, but I've got a 2, a 4, and a 5. The 5 on the hit die, so I'm going to push it. If I get another, we're going to set off the 1 here off to the side again. That'll get a +1 on it. Let's see if I can hit on the push. 3 and a 2. He still misses. We'll see if I can suppress. 3 turned into a 4. Nothing. Krieg can't shoot. So the ammo he's used, however, let me turn that 3 into a 4 so I can track it. Hello, where's my 4? There it is. So we've got 8 rounds, and with the +1, I'm going to say it's more than that because he has just rock and rolled with the +1. I'm always going to put him on as a heavy trigger. So instead of 8, I'm going to put that again. He's emptied half the mag and completely missed. So that is 6. All right, so we've got 15 rounds out of that 30 round mag. So as Krieg comes up, you just get like, and that's about what it sounds like. 45 rounds are subsonic, so you don't have the crack of the round. But what you do hear, and what Sanchez, Pacheco, and the other guys hear, is these rounds hitting this cement all over the place, just peppering the cement. The kid, I think, well, let me see. I'm thinking, is it the kid panics and just falls, or is it that Krieg and Sanchez are there backing him up and dropping him? Let me do, you know, they have the element of surprise on this. I think, well, let's just go to the cards. And by the way, reds will always be yes. I'm going to have to stay on this. Hello, not just good or bad. Reds will always be yes when I'm going binary, and the black cards will always be no. Sorry, I confused that in the last few episodes. So let's just see, is Sanchez in a position to back up Krieg? So we're saying red is the yes. Yes, he is. And I want to know, is Pacheco in a position to back up Krieg? Yes. Okay. Well, here we go. Before we even resolve, you know, does the kid panic, or the kid's basically his cuff, his coolness under fire, which is going to be terrible. We're going to resolve HK-23s. So these are silenced 45s. Both Pacheco and Sanchez have one. Now, they have their M16A2s as well and their laws, but they're moving, hopefully, quietly with their pistols. And let me check, because I've got it in here. They're going to be using 2 dice, and they will be using their ranged combat and their agility, which is, we'll do Pacheco first, way better. Pacheco's agility is an A, so he'll be using a 10-sided die, and his ranged combat is a 12-sided die, and his ranged combat is a B for the 10-sided die. The nods take care of any of the modifiers for the darkness, but I'm going to throw something in here. Well, let's ask again. Does the kid suddenly flee in terror? He clearly knows something's going on. Or does he drop to the ground? So again, red is yes. He flees in terror. Ah, there we go. I had 2 questions in there. That's why I clarified. Red, he starts to flee in terror. Krieg's dumping all these rounds off. The kid's hearing him hit. Krieg's completely missing. He starts to flee in terror. Here comes Pacheco up with his silenced HK and 23, his 45, and we're going to see if he hits. So he's going to be shooting, and we'll see here what he gets. Ooh, yeah, he's got a 10, a 2, and a 3. The other one was a miss, but the 10 gives him 2 hits. So we're going to... So the first hit does 2 damage. Then the second hit will add another damage to it, 3, getting him up to that critical hit. So it is a critical hit. We have a chart. We could go check on that, or we could even roll a die and see where that critical hit is. Let's roll the die. Ooh, center punch to the chest. I am not going to roll on the chart in here. So it's like it could just be like a nick or graze. I wanted to get the location, but as Pacheco comes up, he and actually lets off 5 quick rounds. These HKs have 12 round mags. Let me go to Pacheco with his, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's let 5 rounds off. And Sanchez was coming up on him at the same time. Here's my belief. They kind of knew Krieg was going to blow it. So they saw the kid and they moved on. Pacheco's got the exact same handgun. Sanchez has the exact same handgun. And I've got both range combat and agility are both the same, A and B. Again, these guys are former operators. I haven't done full backstories. This is the first time I've got them statted out. But there's a reason they were hired for contractors and that Krieg keeps them around. They can shoot. He cannot. Let's see if Sanchez, who's not as agreeable, Pacheco's a little more agreeable with Krieg. Let's see if Sanchez hits. Oh yeah, same deal. He got an 8 and an 8, 2 hits, 5 rounds, and 1. If we were to push it, it would do wear and tear to the handgun. No need to push that. We're on the exact same deal here, other than 6 rounds. 5, 6. So we got to get over to. Let me get over to Sanchez. So we've got 6 rounds gone. Boy, we're just going to get into the building. And I want to see where his round would have hit, or rounds. Lighting him up on one or both arms. So as he comes up, both he and Pacheco, who are getting out of vehicle number 2, right? Yep. They immediately come up and start putting rounds down that are actually quite effective, and our docile artisan is down. I am curious. I am saying he has a can of spray paint, and it's red spray paint that he was working on. If they hit this, it's going to just kind of like, if you shoot a pressurized can, it kind of will blow up and actually make a little bit of noise and spray red paint everywhere. So again, is this can hit? Red will be yes. It is. It is hit. So out of this comes a little bit more noise than they were expecting. So spray paint can is hit. And I would say, well, who's going to get, let's just go with the fate chart. I think it is very likely that it sprays all 3 of these guys. I mean, it's just speckling, so it's not like it's going to hurt them, but they're going to be covered with some red paint, which will at least make an interesting story. I think it's somewhat likely. We're going to roll, and we've got 14. Somewhat likely is, oh yeah, that's an extreme yes. So 16 was, or lower is an extreme yes. They're all like, it's like it just sprays out, and they've got on top of their camo, I think, you know what happens with the extreme yes? Real quick, does it mess with their nods? Because if you get stuff on them, on that front camera, it can really jack with them. One of them does. So we'll start with Krieg. Yes, Krieg. Well, we'll check all 3. Krieg has some. He's going to have to get it off of there. So does Sanchez. And Pacheco does not. Interesting. Spray can hit, explodes, messes with nods. Let's pause on that for a second, because the paint's still wet, and it didn't just kind of globulize out. It kind of sprayed out and speckled them. So I think it's going to cause some hindrance. I'm going to say they each get a -1 in shooting. because it's causing like little dots that are messing with their view a little bit. So those two will have a -1 to a die as they're working. That'll really help. Now Krieg's got a 6. He's rolling a 6. He's not going to be a good shot. Let me check my camera real quick.